Hello and welcome to the 30th and penultimate 2020 NHL Draft recap here at Scouching, and today we're looking at the Winnipeg Jets. Now, the Winnipeg Jets were not particularly busy, but considering where they had picks, I thought they did a phenomenal job. With the 10th overall pick, they just picked the best player available in Cole Perfetti. I really don't know what else to say. This one isn't very complicated. Cole Perfetti is a great dual-threat offensive player with a great conduit potential ability as a center in the NHL. Pucks just flow through him effortlessly. He moves pucks up the ice really effectively. He gets into the offensive zone and can manipulate opposing defenses extremely well, and really can overcome the skating issues that he does seem to have. But if those skating issues can be rectified a little bit over the next couple of seasons, you should really look out. This guy could be a real dynamic center for this team moving forward, much the same way we look at someone like a Mark Scheifele. I think Perfetti has a great offensive toolkit, a great potential for offensive production, and if his defensive game can take a step and his skating can take a step, I really think he could be a dynamic center for this team. At 40th overall, they drafted Daniel Torgerson. Now, Torgerson is a player I tracked a few games of, and this is a player where I think he has a very projectable to the NHL game, where you can just park him in front of the net or tell him that the front half of the offensive zone is really his to dominate. He's physically imposing, he works hard, he skates pretty well for a big guy, he's got good skill, but he really battles hard in front of the net and can just generate offense in tight and below the goal line. I really like Daniel Torgerson's potential, especially if really all that's expected of him is maybe a middle six guy whose job is just get the puck to someone else in transition, get to the front of the net, and clean up the garbage. And I think that he is perfectly capable of doing that in the NHL. He can navigate around the front of the net and below the goal line really well, so I think this is an interesting pickup at 40 for the Winnipeg Jets. At 133rd, the Jets also took a player that is a real shot in the dark, but a pretty good one in Hanason. Now, it is no secret that I am a huge fan of Hanason, and I think that there are multiple reasons to cheer for him to become an NHL player one day. I love his skill, I love his intelligence, I love how active he is as a puck distributor and a quarterback of an offense, even at 5-on-5. His ability to manipulate opponents from the blue line is really high level. His offensive game is second to none. His defensive game does need work, but I don't think it's as bad as people frame it out to be. And I do think that he made Emil Andre look a little bit better than he was. So I do believe there is a very strong chance that Johannesson never plays an NHL game for a multitude of reasons. But this is a player that you can let develop in Sweden, you can be patient, and if he ever hits the NHL ice surface, I really do believe that he could be a great puck-moving defenseman. And at 133, that's a guy where I'm just going, you just take him. He's really good, he gets hurt quite a lot, but if he can figure that out, even if he doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world at 133, so you may as well take a swing on a player who is as objectively good at hockey as Anton Johannesson has shown. The Jets then closed out their draft with 164th overall, taking Tyrell Bauer. I don't know what to say, really. I've seen him play a little bit since the draft. He wasn't on my list. He's a big right-hand shot defenseman who doesn't really produce a whole lot. I don't know. It's 164, so you can't complain too much. But the Jets do seem to like these bigger defensemen to offset the higher skill offensive upside defensemen that they draft from time to time. So I guess we'll see what happens with Tyrell Bauer. If he was the guy that they picked at 40th overall, yeah, I'd have a lot more questions. But he's a big right-hand shot playing with Seattle, so you can let him play there for another 2 seasons and see what happens. So for the Winnipeg Jets overall, I'm giving them a 1B. This might surprise a lot of people, especially people who are looking at, say, the Detroit Red Wings getting a 1C. But what I'm doing when I rate these draft props is looking at the team's specific situation they find themselves in the draft and looking at how much value they can extract per pick. And when I look at the Jets, getting Cole Perfetti at 10 is hilarious. Getting Daniel Torgerson at 40, I think he's a perfectly likely player to play in the NHL and serve a perfectly reasonable role, especially when it comes time for the playoffs. At 133 with Anton Johannesson, he's a big swing in the dark, but this is also my bias showing. I am a big fan of Anton Johannesson and I want him to work out. So whatever team he went to, yeah, I'm going to be a little biased in the favor of that team. So the Winnipeg Jets, with 3 of their 4 picks, I think absolutely knocked it out of the park. With Tyrell Bauer, they probably could have done the same thing and drafted a higher upside pick elsewhere and a player that was objectively better than Bauer, but it's not the end of the world. So I don't really know how, as a Jets fan, you can really complain with the players that they picked off the board. They were among the higher end players that were available at their respective picks, so I think the Jets did a great job overall, which gives them a 1B. So that's it for the Jets recap. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you can click all the buttons you see below me so you never miss another one. If you really liked it, you could subscribe on Patreon or here on YouTube by clicking join below. You'll get access to a Discord server data sheets for hundreds of drafted and undrafted prospects across the entire NHL, and plenty of other goodies. Or you can pick up some merchandise from the Scouchwear shop, where 50% of profits go to the Women's Sports Foundation. So that's all, and we'll see you in the final 2020 draft recap looking at the Washington Capitals.